Do you deal with arrogant people, those who provoke you just to get a reaction? People who poke, pressure, criticize between the lines, or test your limits? Sometimes with sharp words, other times with calculated silence. Sometimes at work, sometimes at home, sometimes within yourself. Your first instinct? To respond, to prove your point, to strike back. But what if the real victory isn't in defeating them, but in not destroying yourself by reacting? The Stoics taught that the real battle happens inside. It's not the attack that takes you down. It's when you let it steal your peace. It's when you react on impulse. When you let their anger, ego, or game infect you. And the most dangerous part? Many of these battles are invisible. No one saw the passive-aggressive comment. No one heard the subtle insult. No one noticed the silent disregard. But you felt it, and inside, the war began. Most people jump into this fight without thinking. They battle everyone, except their own impulse. And that's why they lose. But not the Stoic. The Stoic wins a different way. They don't step into the ego's arena. They observe. They feel but don't bend. They act but don't retaliate. They stay intact while the other loses themselves. Because to them, winning isn't about silencing the other. It's about not becoming like them. Stoic philosophy was born in the storm. Zeno of Citium, its founder, lost everything in a shipwreck. He arrived in Athens with nothing, just one heavy question in his heart. How can I keep living when everything falls apart? From the ruins, he began teaching that true strength isn't in what you own, but in who you are when everything is stripped away. Centuries later, Epictetus, born enslaved, was beaten by his masters, but never lost control over himself. He said, "You can chain my body, you can hit me, but you can never make me hate, unless I let you." Seneca, tangled in the politics of Rome, faced envy, manipulation, and death threats. But he didn't use power to take revenge. He used writing to sharpen his mind. He knew, losing composure is losing the battle. And Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, faced betrayal, pressure, and inner crisis. He could have crushed his enemies with a word, but he chose to win through reflection, through leading with honor. In his meditations he wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like those who wrong you." These men didn't avoid conflict. They simply refused to be enslaved by it. They didn't win with force. They won with posture, with calm, with consistency. And that's why, to this day, we learn from them how to respond without retaliation and come out stronger than before. Picture someone attacking you through words, sarcasm, or indifference. Now imagine that instead of reacting, you stay calm, firm, grounded, not out of weakness, but because you're equipped. Stoics didn't carry iron shields. They carried mental ones. And those shields had 4 names: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom gives you clarity. It helps you see what's real and what's just provocation. It asks, is this really worth my energy? It filters. It prevents you from wasting time on petty battles. It turns an attack into a lesson about yourself. Courage isn't loud or aggressive. It's standing tall without stooping to someone else's level. It's doing what's right, even while being criticized. It's easy to attack back, harder to maintain silent dignity. That's Stoic courage. Justice matters deeply, because the temptation to repay insult with insult is strong. But justice isn't revenge. Justice is acting according to principle, not offense. It's remembering that you don't have to hurt someone just because they hurt you. You can be the example even when others fail. Temperance is balance, self-control. It's what holds your reaction back from the edge. It stops you from becoming a slave to emotion. Temperance is the deep breath when everything inside you wants to explode. These 4 virtues don't make you robotic. They make you unshakable. Because a Stoic doesn't try to look strong. They strive not to be ruled. And when you practice these virtues, you realize something powerful. You don't need to defeat the other person, because you've already mastered yourself. Most people fight trying to control the uncontrollable. They want the other person to regret. They want apologies. They want the world to see how unfairly they were treated. But Stoics saw the flaw in that logic. They taught, it's not what happens that hurts you. It's how you choose to respond. This is the dichotomy of control. Life is divided into 2 parts. What depends on you? What doesn't? You don't control whether people criticize you, but you control whether you absorb it. You don't control if someone is unfair, but you control whether you respond with fairness. You don't control if people like you, but you control the kind of person you choose to be. Once you truly apply this principle, conflict loses its grip, because your focus shifts from them to you. Picture someone provoking you, waiting for you to snap, but you pause. You breathe. You choose silence. You didn't win because you silenced them. You won because you didn't get pulled into their storm. Epictetus said, "When someone angers you, realize that it's not them who angers you. It's your choice to be angry." This choice is liberating. And the more you practice it, the more you realize that peace doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from not being controlled by it. The Stoic doesn't win by silencing the enemy, but by refusing to be shaped by them. Have you ever considered that the person who bothers you the most might actually be shaping you? That the one challenging you might be exactly what you needed to grow? The Stoics had a phrase for this, Amor Fati. It means, love your fate. Not just endure it, not just tolerate it, but love everything that happens, including discomfort, rejection, and conflict. To them, even enemies had value. Not because they were right, but because they were useful. Because it's in the struggle that character is refined. In opposition that virtue is strengthened. Marcus Aurelius, at the height of his power, was constantly betrayed, sabotaged, and disrespected by members of his own court. He could have had them imprisoned, exiled, silenced. Instead, he wrote. He reflected. He built inner strength. He said, "What harms me shapes me. What challenges me reveals me." That's Amor Fati. Turning attack into self-awareness. Pain into discipline. Rejection into freedom. Think about it. What if the conflict you're facing now is exactly the training life gave you to prepare for what's coming next? What if the enemy isn't slowing you down but pushing you inward, toward the place where your real strength lives? You can hate what happens, or you can use it as fuel. The choice is yours. The Stoic chooses to love, because they understand that everything that comes to forge them, not to destroy them. Stoics didn't respond calmly by chance. They trained. While the world slept or complained, they were strengthening their minds, in silence. The first tool was journaling. Marcus Aurelius wrote every night, not to be read, but to remind himself of the man he wanted to be. He noted his failures, his thoughts, his intentions. He poured the tension of the day onto paper, so it wouldn't become poison in the heart. You can do the same. Ask yourself before bed, was I pulled out of character today? Did I respond like a wise person, or like a mirror? Writing brings clarity, and clarity brings self-control. The second tool was negative visualization. Epictetus recommended imagining each morning that you will be interrupted, criticized, ignored. Not to become pessimistic, but to avoid being surprised. If you're already prepared to be attacked, the attack won't break you, it will train you. This practice makes you strong. You don't walk through life expecting kindness, but you're ready to hold your composure when it doesn't show up. And the third Stoic tool is the deepest, memento mori. Remember, you will die. Not to scare you, but to free you. When you live with an awareness of death, you stop wasting time on pointless arguments. You don't snap at every offense. You don't drain your energy on those who don't understand you. Because you know, life is too short to drown in resentment, and long enough to build a peace no one can take from you. These three practices are invisible, but they shape giants. Because the true victory is this: not losing yourself in the heat of provocation. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome, but he could have become just another tyrant. Betrayed by friends, surrounded by envy, pressured by war and crisis, he had every tool to destroy his enemies. But he chose self-control. Instead of shouting, he wrote. Instead of revenge, he led with dignity. His greatest victory was not becoming like those who tried to bring him down. Epictetus was born enslaved, beaten by his owner. His leg was broken, but his mind never was. He said, "You can chain my body, but my mind remains free." And that freedom is what made him a teacher of emperors. Today, that mindset isn't just in ancient books, it's alive in action. Think of Nelson Mandela. 27 years in prison. He could have come out seeking revenge, but he came out ready to unite. With calm, clarity, and forgiveness, he defeated an entire system without hate. Or Michael Jordan, cut from his school team. He didn't argue. He trained. He let his work speak. He silenced the world through consistency, not retaliation. Or the countless professionals and everyday people who choose not to engage in petty arguments, ego games, or provocation, and who win every day with ethics, discipline, and silence. Because those who win without fighting win more deeply, not just in the eyes of others, but in the quiet of their own conscience. Anger often arrives with a seductive promise. Strike back now. Prove your strength. Don't let this slide. And the ego cheers, because it wants to win. It wants to be right. It wants to dominate. But what comes after that? Guilt, resentment, consequences you can't control, and the worst of all, the loss of your own peace. Reacting impulsively might feel like victory in the moment, but most of the time it's just defeat in disguise. Because when you act on impulse, you're no longer in charge. Someone else is. You allowed the provocation to shape you. You let someone else's behavior define yours. And even if you win the argument, you walk away smaller. Because you lost the most important thing, self-control. The Stoics warned about this with brutal clarity. Epictetus said, "If someone provokes you, that's their problem. But if you let it disturb you, it becomes yours." Every time you lower yourself to respond at the same level, you give the other person power over you. But every time you respond with calm and balance, you reclaim your own. The Stoic understands that firm silence is worth more than a quick comeback. That serenity is stronger than any explosion. Because in the end, what breaks you is not the external attack. It's the internal chaos. And the revenge that felt like justice was just your ego begging for attention. True inner victory means staying whole when everything around you tries to tear you apart. It means keeping your peace even when provoked. It means refusing to fight the war your ego wants to start. Real victory makes no noise. It doesn't need applause. It happens in the quiet mind that chooses virtue, again and again and again. Being stoic is training that every single day. It's waking up prepared, sleeping in peace, and walking with steady steps even when the world tries to drag you down. Because in the end, the one who conquers the world is the one who first conquered themselves.